All right guys, so we are going to kick off the rolling shots video inside of the course. So again, I'm going to say it right off the hop. I do not condone doing this. This is considered more of a dangerous stunt than anything. If you drop gear while doing a rolling shot and you're just being careless while doing it, or if it's just a fluke accident, freak accident, I have nothing to do with it. I'm just saying this is what I do for rolling shots. It can be seen as unsafe. It can be very unsafe. So just be super, super careful when you are doing this. If you are going to be hanging out of a car with a camera or a gimbal or both, just be very, very careful when doing this, or just don't do it at all. But anyways, let's kick it off. So basically, you're going to be in the chase car. So I'm in the chase car right now. I'm not actually going to be doing any rolling shots or like explaining what I'm doing while I'm hanging out of a window of a car and shooting an actual rolling shot of a car, because I'm just not going to be able to get everything or all the points across in the video. So I thought that I would just park the ar and show you guys the different techniques that I do when shooting rolling shots. So you're going to be in the chase car. The first thing I like to do is literally just put the seat all the way back, and then I'll actually recline the back part of the seat back a little bit, just to give me as much room in this passenger seat as possible. Now, I always recommend to hang out of the passenger side door, because the window is usually a little bigger than the rears most of the time. So yeah, we're going to be hanging out of the passenger side door. So your car is behind you, it's rolling. Before I get into anything here, I will say, have good communication not only with the driver of the car, like communicate with them, tell them to speed up, slow down, but also have good communication with the person that you're actually shooting, like the car that you're filming. You can do like come here motions, like come over here, come closer. You can do stop right there, and you can even mouth things too. You can say like a little more, stop. Or you can say push back, and then I do another motion like this, and then like send the car. So I just go like this and send, and then that's like their cue in the rolling car to actually blow right past you and do a little flyby. So another thing that I get a lot of questions about too is 24 FPS versus 60 FPS. Personally, for me, I shoot all of my rolling shots at 24 FPS, obviously in 4K or the highest output possible on your camera resolution. And then I film at either 1/50 shutter at like f4.0 or f2.8. And then I also will film, then I turn the in-body image stabilization on the camera, even if it is on a gimbal. I feel it just adds a little more stability, because it can get really windy out there when you're hanging out of a car window. And then I'll actually play around with my shutter speed value. So I'll film at shutter speed 1/100, 1/200, and sometimes even 1/400 to eliminate some motion blur. Sometimes it just reveals more of the spokes on the cars the higher shutter speed you go. So basically, when I'm ready to get out of the car here, I'm going to take my seatbelt off. Again, very illegal. Do at your own risk, 100%. And I'll just put one knee on the seat, and I'm going to be holding the gimbal. Now, when I get out of the car, I'm shimmying the gimbal out first, and I have both hands on the gimbal. I'm never doing this, where I'm grabbing the side and I only have one hand on the gimbal. The second that this camera body or gimbal exits the car window, it's always two hands on the gimbal, and I'm using things like my elbows and my knees to really secure myself to the car. So I'm going to pull the gimbal out here, and as I pull it out, again, two hands on the gimbal, and now I'm going to start recording from right here. So when I've situated myself in a comfortable position, now I have two knees up on the seat, so I'm in a comfortable position right now, and I always have one hand on the gimbal. It sounds stupid, but seriously guys, just be super careful. So my one hand is on the side handle here, and if I want to grab the other side handle, I'm just going to quickly go like this, because you're going to be rolling sometimes 50 to 100 kilometers an hour. You want to be super careful. So you're death gripping your gimbal handles as much as you can. I personally really like this position. I don't mind this position for the high up shots or the medium shots, but the super low shots, I'll just grip the battery grip right here. So I'm hanging out, and I'm going to grab some shots just like this. I'll even put my elbow and my forearm on the actual door itself, and then I'll actually push up with both of my arms to pin myself against the windowsill right here to just keep me as steady as possible, rather than me waving around all over the place. So I actually glue myself to the car. Now, once I grab some shots at, basically windshield level, that's when I'm going to maybe plant one foot on the ground, and I'm going to raise the camera up like this and grab some shots rolling just like so. And once I'm happy with those shots where I'm above the top of the car, then what I'm gonna do is hold the trigger on my gimbal, and basically I'm gonna point the camera steady while we're rolling, and I'm going to simply hold the lock button on the gimbal, and then I'm going to turn the gimbal upside down like so. And now this is where it gets a little tricky, because you're trying to see what your monitor or your LCD screen is showing, but basically I just try to point the camera at the car, and by doing this and locking the gimbal in this position, I can pan the camera up by twisting the camera up, or I can pan it down. Now while I'm doing these shots, what I like to do is actually point the camera down, and I'll point it down for a good 3 seconds, and then I'll slowly roll the gimbal up to the car, and I'll get these super low shots. Now you can go as low as you feel comfortable. Like I'll borderline have the gimbal scraping down on the car like this and pressing my abdomen up against the door here. And yeah, and I'm just filming the cars like this. After I feel comfortable with these low shots, which always look the best, I'm gonna slowly bring my hand up to the top of the grip. I'm gonna hold onto the button to unlock the motor, and I'm just gonna flip the camera up like this. And when I'm done with my rolling shots, I'm just going to, again, keep both hands on the gimbal, and I'm gonna get myself into the car first. I'm gonna point the gimbal forward, doesn't matter if the motors go all over the place, and I'm gonna pull the camera back inside of the car. So another thing to mention here too, guys, very, very important, always make sure that your door is locked. Never leave it unlocked. You never know if the door handle, if something catches on the door handle and opens up, you always wanna keep that door nice and locked. All right, so I know that some of you might not own a gimbal yet, or maybe you own a gimbal, but you don't feel comfortable hanging out of a car with a gimbal. So let's say you want to film some handheld shots with your camera for video rollers. So what I do is I obviously pop my screen out. This is very important. This is a camera strap, and it is strapped to my camera. So what I do, I just keep wrapping my hand around the camera strap until it's nice and snug, to the point where if it fell, it's not gonna go anywhere. Even if this one came off, at least this second loop is gonna catch it. So I wrap my hand around the camera, toss my hand on the body of the camera, and I'm good to pop out of the car. So when you pop out of the car, same procedure, make sure the door is locked, get into a comfortable position here, pop your head out, and now you're gonna start filming. Now, it's important to keep your in-body image stabilization on. What I do is I just rest the LCD screen on the forearm of my arm here, and then I have one hand on my focus here. Or if you have autofocus, you can tap around on the screen. This is definitely a more safe way of doing rollers, even though you don't have a seatbelt on and you're literally hanging out the side of a car. However, it's a lot less risky than hanging out with a gimbal with zero, safety support. Like if I accidentally hit a bump and slipped, at least my camera is gonna be safe. But yeah, when I grab these rollers, what I'll do is I'll grab some from up top, I'll grab some from eye level, windshield level, and then I'll try my best to get some lower shots here too. Again, having a camera with IBIS is gonna make a world of a difference. If your camera doesn't have in-body image stabilization, this is probably not going to work very well. I would highly suggest going the gimbal route. But yeah, that's basically just filming rolling shots without a gimbal. And again, guys, using that technique of, pinning our elbow, our forearm to the door, and pushing ourselves up against this windowsill right here to keep as steady as possible. And we're tucking our elbows into our sides, and we're just trying to stay as steady as humanly possible, because this can get a little rough if you're not on a smooth road. All right, guys, so the second way to capture rollers, which is my personal favorite, is hanging out of a hatchback. So you need to be in a van, something with a back cargo space, and basically you're gonna pop the hatch, you're gonna drive with the rear trunk open. This can get super sketchy, and you need to be doing this safely. Again, I don't condone doing this. This is just what I do. You don't have to copy me. You can figure out your own ways to film rollers, but if you do it, just be extremely, extremely careful. Now, on the note of being very careful and cautious when doing this, a scaffolding harness. Go out and buy one brand new. Don't buy a used one that's expired. This is literally just a scaffolding harness from Lowe's. I paid maybe $20 or $30 for it, and basically it has a large loop on the very back here. So you can actually connect a ratchet strap to the back of here, and you're gonna ratchet strap yourself to the back of something that's very, very secure, some sort of metal contact point in the rear seat or rear area of the car. Like there's a couple loops back here in my trunk that I see. They're metal loops that are securely fastened to the actual body of the car or the frame of the car. That's what I would probably tie off to. But yeah, I would loop it back into my scaffolding harness. And basically what I'm gonna do is get on my knees here, and I would have my gimbal in my hands, and basically I'm gonna tie myself off to a point where when my head gets to about the rear bumper area, I can't actually go any more forward. So I'm like stuck inside of the cargo space just to be safe. I don't want to be having it so loose where, you know, half my body could fall out of the trunk of the car. So now I'm going to show you guys all the different types of shots that I would get in the back of this trunk. Now again, guys, this is really, really illegal to do. Even if you are strapped in the car and being as safe as possible and even driving slow, you can definitely still get a ticket if a police officer catches you doing this. They're going to give you like a reckless driving or probably like a stunt driving ticket of some sort. Maybe don't do this on busy streets. I tend not to. But anyways, so I have the gimbal here, I'm on my knees, and basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna secure myself back here, right? So I'll be grabbing my shots here, basically just communicating with the driver. You can tell the driver, hey, speed up, or slow down a bit, or go up to 80. And then you can also be communicating with the car that you're filming. So you can tell them like push up, like come right up front here, like kind of like ride the ass of the chase car. Or you can tell them to like push back a bit. You can tell them to like go over, or, you know, come over here and then slow down and come back to the middle lane. So communicate with your driver as much as possible. Now, again, when you're communicating with the driver, make sure that you're still paying attention to holding onto your gimbal nice and tight. What I like to do is just kind of keep it inside the cabin more or less. I'll direct and then I'll pull the camera out and shoot just to be as safe as possible. I don't want to drop, you know, a $5,000 setup. So yeah, basically when I am grabbing the roller shots though, I'm usually grabbing some from like right here. So the camera's at my eye level and I'm slightly pointing the camera down towards the car that I'm shooting. It kind of puts the car in like a really cool spotlight and it just looks so epic with like a nice backdrop and everything. And then what I'll do after that is I'll get like lower shots. So I'll get a little lower here. So I'll usually rest my forearms on the trunk here, on the trunk lip, and I'll just grab some shots here at eye level with the front bumper of the car. And then what I like to do last is, again, click that trigger, hold that trigger, flip the camera upside down, and now I'm gonna grab my rolling shots, gripping onto the gimbal for dear life, and I'm just grabbing different shots while the camera is super, super low to the ground. I can even get it like lower like this. But again, guys, look, I'm keeping the majority of my body, like 90% of my body inside of the trunk. I just really worry about hitting a really big pothole or a bump and getting bucked out. So even though I'm strapped in, I'm still being really, really cautious. After I'm done those shots, what I like to do is get a little creative with it if we have enough street space. So I'll actually, now this gets a little sketchy, but I personally just go one hand, or I'll just grip the top bottom of the gimbal's legs here, and I'll literally spread my knees a little wider, and this will give me enough room to actually do a little motion like this, where I can pan the camera from left to right and get this cool panning shot while we're actually rolling. And I'll go a little slower. I'll usually go nice and slow here, or you can do a more aggressive one where you tilt the camera and go to this side. I can also do the same thing here, up here. I'll usually go like, start from the top left, and then I'll drop the gimbal down and pan it right to the front of the car. I can do, you know, a left to right motion from back here. You can get really creative with it. And then I look back at the driver when I'm finished and I yell to him, you know, pull over, we're good, we got the shots. And I try to just get pulled over as fast as possible, and then we would be wrapped for our rolling shots. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I tried to break it down as much as possible and really dive deep into rolling shots and just being safe about it. Again, guys, I don't recommend doing them. They look so good. I don't recommend doing them though, because I don't want people like dropping gear and breaking equipment. So if you don't feel comfortable doing this, you don't have to do it. Just stick to doing static shots. There's no reason to be, you know, playing it unsafe and doing something that you're not comfortable doing. But yeah, anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, you can comment down below in the comment section below this video, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. I'll see you in the next video.